Good day, thank you for joining us. And in today's lesson, we'll be going through June 2018 paper, question 4 and question 5. Okay, so what's going to happen is today's going to be a bit different. So if you're watching this video on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching it on, please do take a moment to pause this video because here we have question 4, right? We have question 4 over here. So we're going to start off with this question. And if you are watching on any platform, please do pause the video now. Try and attempt these examples by yourself. And once you're done with them, please do unpause the video and I will continue with doing the solutions right after. So you can go ahead and do that and I'll help you straight away afterwards. Okay, so you should have finished off with doing the examples by now, or doing the questions, so we're just going to hop straight into them. So we're going to be looking at question 4.1 first, okay? So in question 4.1 we were given 4x minus 3x squared plus 6x cubed minus 5x squared minus 4x cubed plus 3x. So if I'm going to work through this really slowly, I'm going to look at what the like terms are. So we have 4x, we have positive 3x, we have negative 3x squared, we have negative 5x squared, and we have positive 6x and cubed and negative 4x cubed. So I like and prefer that we work with in order of power. So we'll start at the highest power. So we have 6x cubed minus 4x cubed. So we have 2x cubed first. Then we look at squares next. So negative 3x squared minus 5x squared, we get negative 8x squared. And then we look at with the power of 1, 4x plus 3x is 7x. So that should have been your final answer for number 1. So 4.2 is next. So 4.2 says we get p squared q, and then open brackets 3 minus 5p q to the power of 5 plus 4p to the power of 7. Okay, so as you know, when we have the situation, we're going to times this term into the first term, into the second term, and into the last term as well. Cool. So once we do that, we're going to get firstly 3p squared q. So now remember, there is an invisible 1 in front of you, so if you're looking at the number first, this 1 is timesing that 5, so we'll be left with negative 5, okay? And so now we'll do the laws of exponents where we're timesing the same base, we add the exponents, so we get p3 and q6 plus, moving on to the next one because that's 1 times positive 4, so that's, we know it's going to be 4. P7 plus 2 gives me 9, and just a normal q. So that should have been your answer for 4.2. Moving on to 4.3. So we have 3a squared p to the power of 5. And that's going to be times 1 over 3 a to the power of 3 b to the power of 2. And that's in brackets squared. So first thing we want to focus on is squaring this bracket, okay? So we'll leave so long 3a squared b5 as is. And we can do 1 over 3 squared. So if I look at that, 1 over 3 squared is 1 over 3 times 1 over 3. Remember, we times numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator, so we're left with 1 over 9. Okay? So once we do that, we can put it in, we get 1 over 9, we get a. So remember now, when we are doing a power to a power, we're going to times these exponents. Okay, so 3 times 2 is going to give me a to the power of 6, and then b is going to give me 2 times 2 is b to the power of 4. So now what we're going to do next is we're going to times it into the brackets. Okay, so we're timesing 3a squared b5 into the brackets. So once we do that, we're going to say 3 times a ninth first, 3 times 1 over 9. So if we were doing that, 3 times 1 over 9, we'd get 3 over 9, right? If we simplify that, we get a third once again. So we'll come back to having a third. So now we look at the variables. So we have a. So remember now we're just timesing the same base, so we're adding exponents. So first exponent is going to be 8. And then for b it's going to be 9. And that should be your final answer. So you can see I just did small working out here on the side. It's good to break up your sums like that. It helps you to not make mistakes. So moving on now to 4.4. So 4.4, they asked us to do 12a to the power of 6, b to the power of 3, and c to the power of 8, minus 18a to the power of 5, sorry, let me just redo that, 18a to the power of 5, b to the power of 2, and c to the power of 3, and that's all going to be put over minus 6a to the power of 2 and c to the power of 3. So, as you know, when we get an example like this bottom term is going to divide into this term and into this term. Okay, so they're both going to divide into each other. So, sorry, I mean this term is going to divide into both of these terms on top. So what's going to happen is we always look at our number first, right? So if you're looking at numbers, 12 divided by negative 6, we know that's going to be negative 2. Now we're going to move on to looking at a. So if we look at a, remember now when we are dividing and the bases are the same, we minus exponents. So that's going to be a, so that's 6 minus 2. So 6 minus 2 will give me 4. So now we're doing b, 3 minus 1 gives me 2. And then c, 8 minus 3 gives me 5. So that should be your first one over there. And then because we're doing negative 18 divided by 6, it's negative divided by negative. That's why we get this positive over here. So we can just say now 18 divided by 6 is going to give me 3. So then we'll look at our a. Remember we're minusing the exponents, okay? So 5 minus 2 gives me 3. b, 2 minus 1, so it'll stay as b because it's the power of 1, so we can just leave it like that. And c to the power of 3, c to the power of 3, so that's 3 minus 3. Remember these are exactly the same, so they'll basically cancel each other out. So we'll just be left with c. Sorry, my bad. They cancel each other out, so we won't have a c. Okay, because remember if we're doing 3, this is basically how it looks. So it's going to be c3 minus 3, which is going to give me, c to the power of 0, which basically equals 1. So it's not going to have any value here really, because this will stay exactly the same if we just times it by 1. So that should be a final answer for 4.4. And then moving on to the last one for question 4, which is 4.5, we get given the cube root of negative 27m to the power of 6 n to the power of 12. So remember when we're dealing with square or cube roots, we're going to divide exponents, okay? So these exponents over here, they'll be divided by whatever numbers over here, okay? So this is a cube root, so therefore divide by 3. If it was a square root, there's the invisible 2, so we divide exponents by 2. But for this case, we're going to be doing the cube root one. So working it out, the number will have to be cube rooted as per normal, okay? So the cube root of negative 27 is going to give me negative 3, okay? Because if I times negative 3 by negative 3 by negative 3, I'm going to get negative 27. And then if I'm going to do m over here now, so it's 6 divided by 3, which is going to give me 2. And then n over here is 12 divided by 3, which gives me 4, which should be your final answer for number 4.5. And that will be the end of question 4. So we're going to move on back now to the paper, and we have over here question 5. So what I want you to do is, once again, pause your video if you're on any platform you're watching on. Do these examples, and once you're done, you can play the video and I'll be going through the solutions. Okay, so you should have worked it out now, and we'll go through the solutions for all our questions in question 5. Okay, so moving on. So in question 5 at 5.1, they asked us to work out x over 3 is equal to 9. So in question 5, they're asking us to solve for x. So quite simply, if we have a fraction here and we're trying to get x by itself and x is the numerator, obviously we're dividing by 3. If you want to get rid of divide by 3, you have to times by 3. So if we times this side by 3, what happens is this 3 will cancel out this 3 over here, so we'll just be left with x. Remember, what we did to the one side, we did to the other side, so we're timesing by 3 on this side as well. So 9 times 3 is going to give me 27, which is our final answer now. X equal to 27. Moving on to 5.2, we are given 6x minus 7 is equal to 3x minus 31. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get the x together and numbers together. So we know that this 3x is going to come over this way, right? And this negative 7 is going to come over and it's going to become positive, okay? So this becomes positive and this becomes negative. So we'll have 6x minus 3x is equal to negative 31 plus 7. So we're left with 3x is equal to 24. So this is negative 24. So negative 31 plus 7 is negative 24. Getting x by itself, we have to divide by 3. So the 3's will cancel each other out here, so we're left with just x is equal to negative 8. Okay, negative 24 divided by 3 will give me negative 8. Let me just split this over here. Let me just make that a bit neater. So we're moving on to 5.3 now. 5.3 gives us 4. X minus 3 is equal to 3 x minus 5, which also has plus 7. Okay, so let's go by working this out. What we need to do first is get rid of the brackets, so we're timesing the brackets out. Okay, so we're timesing this term into the first and second term and this term into the first and second term inside the brackets. So once we do that, we'll have 4x minus 12, right? 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 3 will give me negative 12. Then 3 times x gives me 3x. 3 times negative 5 gives me negative 15 plus 7. Okay. So now we're going to try and get all the x's together. So we have 4x over here. Bring the 3x over. We get negative 3x. And then from there, we're going to bring the 12 over. So what's going to happen is we're going to have negative 15 plus 7. That 12 becomes positive now, so it's positive 12. So we're left with x on this side. And then our final answer here is going to be 4 on the right hand side, okay? So that is negative 15 plus 7, which would have given me negative 8. And then plus 12, which gave me positive 4. Now we move on to 5.4, where we get given x over 3 plus 6 is equal to x minus 6. So the way we're going to go about doing this is we're going to try and get all the x's on one side. So we're going to have x over 3 minus the x that we're now bringing over, right? And this 6 is going to go over, become negative 6, so negative 6 minus 6 is going to be negative 12. And now we have to think about how can we get rid of this fraction. We know that if there's a fraction, we have to times by the number that's on the bottom, right? So because it's divided by 3, we're going to times by 3 to get rid of it. But what happens is we actually end up timesing this whole entire side. So everything on the side will be times by 3 because there are 2 terms here. And then obviously what you did to one side, you did to the other side. Remember, this 3 gets cancelled out, so we just left with the x. So we've times that into the first term, now into times into the second term. So 3 times negative x gives me negative 3x. Negative 12 times 3 gives me negative 36. So we can see here this gives me negative 2x, right? X minus 3x gives me negative 2x. Mine equals negative 36. Getting x by itself, we divide by negative 2. So the negative 2's cancel each other out here. So we're left with just x is equal to. So this is a negative divided by negative, so we know it's a positive. 36 divided by 2 is going to give me 18. Hopefully you've gotten all right up until this point. Otherwise, I hope you've seen where you went wrong. And now we'll move on to the last example now. 5.5, where they say negative 4, 3x minus 2 minus 5 is equal to minus 6x plus 2, 5x minus 7 plus 9. So as you know, we have to times out our brackets as we would. So once we do that, we get negative 12x. So it's negative times a negative now, so it's going to be a positive 8 minus 5 is equal to negative 6x plus 10x minus 14 plus 9. So we can take all of our variables to the left, so we have negative 12x. So 6x comes over, it becomes plus 6x minus 10x, that also came over. So now we look at our numbers, we have negative 14 plus 9 minus 8 that came over plus 5 that came over. Okay, so that's the situation we're looking at right now. So once we work all of this out over here, we should get to an answer of negative 16x. And once we work out all of this on this side, we should get to an answer of negative 8. So how we can get x by itself, divide by negative 16. So what you do to the one side, you must do to the other side as well. So the negative 16 cancels out of that one, so we just left with x. And then negative 8 divided by negative 16, we know negative divided by negative is going to give me a positive. And 8 divided by 16, put in a simple fraction form, is going to give me a half. So that will be your final answer for x over here, okay? Well, I really hope this video was helpful. Thank you very much for joining us, and next week we'll be continuing with 2 other questions from the same paper. Thank you.